mind. I just got to make sure this thing's on. Welcome everybody. My name is Christian Johnson. I'm the school counselor at Rockyville Middle School. We did our externship at Rich's Products, and I'm going to have these three do themselves.
And I'm Brian McLaughlin. I'm a math teacher at Morristown West High School.
And my name is Jenny Russell. I teach 5th grade math at Union Heights Elementary.
So a little bit of a brief history of Rich's Products. And what I thought was really cool was that everybody that we talked to, this was the story that they opened with. So it was really cool to see how they were passionate about the history of this company. In 1945, Robert Rich developed the first non-dairy whip topping. Now this was because of dairy rationing for World War II. And this kind of went on in the development of frozen cream puffs and frozen eclairs, and eventually into the first non-dairy coffee creamer, which really kind of set this company on a good path.
Rich's has a presence not just here in Morristown, but it's in lots and lots of countries all over the world. It's in Canada, Mexico, Asia, Europe, Middle East, Latin America, and in South Africa.
And currently we got to experience the 2 plants that Morristown has here. They've had for over 25 years. Christian and I were at plant 1. And Brian spent some time over at Plant 2, and so we really enjoyed just getting to experience both of these and seeing all the employees that they had, which is over 500 people just in our Morristown area.
Some of the products that Rich's makes you've probably eaten before. If you've been to Dunkin' Donuts and gotten a muffin, it probably came from Rich's here in Morristown. We apologize there are not physical examples of the products at the table. That would have been probably nice, but if you want to drive by Dunkin' Donuts on your way home, it's right down the road, and it'll be there. But they're responsible for the muffins. It was really amazing. We'll talk more about that here in a minute, but it was amazing to see those be made. And the donuts, but they also produce cakes and cupcakes and sheet cakes. They also have lots of sub-companies that produce seafood and fruit and just all sorts of different options for things that you eat. But you've probably eaten something from Rich's before.
And one of the reasons we don't have examples is because we ate them. So what we expected to see, and like Nicole, I had a lot of family who grew up in manufacturing jobs in Eastman and things like that, and we had a laundry room with all the clothes, and that door stayed shut because Mom didn't want the smell to infiltrate our house. So I mean, what we expected, just based on what my dad had said, hot temperatures, long hours, really starting on the bottom and having to try to climb that slow ladder, really impersonable. You hear those horror stories of we the workers and them the bosses, how that kind of works, and just the manual labor part and the dirtiness and the disorganization and how that kind of plays in part. And really kind of our perceptions were misconceptions of what we experienced in that, and that's what we're going to show here next.
So throughout our week there, we started out in safety. And we took a couple of days of safety courses. We watched some videos. We learned a lot about listeria. So any micro teachers, I feel like you would have benefited from this. We also toured the plant. They gave us different advice and just information about which category did what and what was going on in each of those. And then one of those that we spent quite a bit of time in was in logistics. So I think that was the one I was most fascinated with, about everything from coming in, what was going, being taken to different areas of the facility. So that one was extremely interesting.
And then when we get into things, such as the production line, we're starting to see where the heart and soul of this company is with their labor workers and how they can come in very entry level and how quickly they can climb this ladder. They even had some presentations and examples of the amount of time that normally it would take to climb a ladder and how that pay scale jumps. And that was something that was really surprising to me, is we're starting out at $12 or $13 an hour with little or no degree at all, and how quickly that they can jump in that. And then on top of that, the educational opportunities that they offer through reimbursement opportunities, and they're really pushing this education. They don't want you to come in and stay where you're at because they're kind of investing their time and their money. They want you to succeed because that's going to help them succeed at the same time. These labor jobs kind of go into cereal mix, which is kind of the dry mixes that they put together and ship out to companies. It's going to make those donuts, it's going to make those cupcakes and things if they don't make them in-house. And then once that kind of goes out and where it gets to us, thankfully, case pack, that's a real quality assurance piece, making sure that things are packed right, making sure things that are coming through in a way that's gonna get there without contamination and things like that. And we'll talk about sure this last time.
I got to spend some time with the maintenance team, and when I think of maintenance, I was thinking of, if a machine breaks down, fixing it. That was part of it, but the level of education that had to go into it was astonishing to me. There's so many robotics, it's lots of automation, and so when we talk about maintenance, you have to have someone who's highly skilled, highly trained, who knows exactly what they're doing and can solve a problem very quickly, because if that problem stays, it halts production and can affect the whole business. So everyone knew their role in the team, and the maintenance team certainly knew that their job was important. Sanitation, it could not have been cleaner there. I washed my hands more this week than I don't know, and so it was very, very clean. I had to wear things over our shoes to make sure that we didn't track in listeria or any other contaminants that could possibly get into the food. Lots of hair nets, lots of face nets. There were times where I was talking to someone and I thought I'll never recognize them again because their face is covered. They see me in public and wave. I won't know who they are, but it was very, very clean. And the Q&A lab, I got to spend some time in plant 2, and all the muffins, all the product that went through the line had to be weighed, had to be measured, had to be, all these different things were analyzed about it. And I would look at this cupcake and think that looks delicious, but then they'd say, no, it's not good enough, and chuck it. So it was pretty amazing, all the details that went into it.
And that was our favorite part, the Q&A lab. You also got to taste, so we were all about that.
Yeah.
So as a school counselor, what I'm going to be primarily looking at, as I'm not in a regular ed classroom every day, is some of the soft skills and how we can apply those. So by the time they get to you all, that you're not having to try to teach these things again. So number one, attendance, as many people have said, and I'm not sure if they put that on there or not, but next year in Hawkins County, what we're going to be implementing is some new procedural stuff so that we can kind of get ahead of some of our frequently truant, late kids, so that after 1 or 2 times we're having a meeting with those families, we're seeing what if there's a problem and how we can address those in school. How can we incentivize these kids to come? How can we get them to come here? Is it something that we can do on our end? Is it problems that they're having with people in their classrooms? Is it issues that they're not being addressed with the teachers? If we can get ahead of that stuff in days 1 or 2, maybe we can eliminate them missing days 7, 8, 9, 10. The aspect of teamwork, it's really important to me. I grew up playing sports my whole life, and so I've seen the importance of teamwork and how that can kind of translate into job opportunities. And I don't know that I've ever been a part of anything in a sport or not that represented teamwork as much as Rich's. And I'm not just saying that you all here, I really do mean that. It was incredible from the top of the ladder to the very bottom. Everybody knew that they were a part of something. And it wasn't I'm up here, you're down here, even to the point, the wording of things. They're not called employees, they're associates. They're somebody that matters. And that translated a lot when they realized and they had that idea that I matter. I think that meant a lot to how hard they worked, the kind of pride they took in their work, and why that company is running as smoothly as it is. The organization, incredible. From the time a product comes in, they know exactly how much it is, they know when it's used, they know what time it's used, they know how that's getting out. The attitude, I think that goes into the teamwork part. The approachability, every person that I talk to in upper management said we have an open door policy. Anytime that you want to come in and address something, please do. And the creativity they have to constantly better their process, to constantly better the way that they do things, to be more efficient, which helps the bottom line, but also to help the morale of the company at the same time.
And some hard skills that we noticed while we were there and really wanted to focus in on implementing in our classroom was data entry and those computer literacy skills. Most kids these days, I feel like, can work a computer better than any of us sitting here in this room, but really implementing those programs where my 5th grade kids, they can work with Word and PowerPoint pretty well, but in these positions, they needed to be able to use Excel, like you guys have said prior. And there were not a lot of employees that could do that, only 2. And the problem was they didn't have time to train these other people to do that. So I feel like we as teachers can do a better job in really getting those students acclimated to that and learning that so they come out fresh out of high school. They don't have to go to college to learn how to do those programs. Also, reading comprehension, there was a lot of forklifting operations going on. They're driving fast, so they're telling us look both ways, like they're coming, so get ready. Math, just like a lot of you guys have said as well. And then being a leader, the managing aspect going along. And I feel like that's something that I really want to work on in my classroom, because I feel like if we start them young and we don't wait until they're in high school to start doing those leadership skills, then they'll be better prepared for that. So if we can really start focusing on, if we see a kid that really has those naturally and positively forcing them up and encouraging those, that more kids will join in, and we can see those and keep pushing those up at an early age. So.
We were surprised by a lot of what we experienced. The culture, both of them have talked about it. Christian and Jenny have mentioned it, but I want to just emphasize the culture there was like kind of infectious. I would be there and the efficiency was out the roof. So I start to, like, as I left work, I would kind of look at the way I do things and say, well, that's really inefficient. I should be doing it better. Oh man, I should be thinking about this. And so, but everyone knew their role, and they knew that what they did affected the larger group. So when the box machine went down, people just stopped what they were doing and very calmly with a smile on their face went over and started to help build boxes while the team came in, the maintenance team came in and started to repair. And I just kind of walked over and started doing it too, because it is just part of the culture. It's infectious. And it started with the leadership and came down, but man, I mean, the power that we have as leaders, each of us, whether in our families or in our classrooms, we develop a culture. And it was modeled very well at Riches. The pay had great starting pay. Anyone could come into an entry-level job and be able to support themselves very easily, and there are opportunities to go up and up and up. There were team leaders that I talked to who started out at entry-level jobs but were encouraged by management to pursue higher levels of education, get some certifications, and Riches also helps pay for those educational opportunities. $5,000 a year, they can go back and pick up another certification at the TCAT Center. There's a woman I talked to who's working on her business management degree, and it's all helped or made possible through Riches. We've talked about the cleanliness and organization. There were even areas on the floor, taped off areas where if there's a step ladder, it goes in this square so that there's a clear way for the workers to go through. Let's see. It was also, we're talking about millions of muffins that come through Morristown every year and millions of cakes. The quantity was kind of astonishing. So, like I said, if you go into a Publix and you look at a cake or cupcake, it probably came from Morristown, and you can walk with pride through the Publix, knowing that you probably know someone to help make that cake. All the people who worked there were extremely friendly and approachable, and we're not exaggerating. I mean, I was like, I could work here very easily. Everyone was so nice and was informed on what they did. They knew the big picture for the company and the importance of their piece. It was really awesome.
So to kind of conclude this, some takeaways, really, really impressed with the way the communication was from the top to the bottom. And I think that's something that we can enforce. I'm actually going to meet with our principal today and go over some of the things that I observed here and how we can implement those from principal to teacher communication, from principal to student communication, from teacher to student communication, and more importantly to our parents, how we can communicate some of those things to them, and they've got that open door policy. They feel like that they can communicate with us in the same way that they've set that up there. They had a kind of a behavioral program, I guess, where you were able to achieve points for certain achievements and certain displays of appropriate behaviors that you could actually, you got a website where you can buy stuff with them, so I thought that was really cool. We had something similar, not as advanced. I want to really vamp that up and give students a reason to kind of push towards those behaviors and look for those appropriate ways of responding in situations. Just overall great experience. Gave me a little taste of what some of my other family had experienced in manufacturing. I've been kind of the black sheep in education. But a great experience, and I look forward to implementing some of these things, not just at school, but also in other areas, church and my family and things like that. So thank you, Riches. I appreciate it, and you all are fantastic. Fernando, I want to get one of them spreadsheets. You got to teach me a lesson on it.
For me, my biggest takeaway that I can apply to my classroom is the fact that one attitude can change the entire environment. And so with me as a leader, my attitude is probably the most impactful one in the room, but it also carries out into the hallways with who I interact with. So for me, I mean, there were hard skills I learned I need to be teaching my kids. For me, the most impactful thing that I learned is what I can bring into West High School when I return there, and the impact that I can bring on the school culture and my classroom climate.
As a fifth grade teacher, fortunately enough, we are able to participate in a BizTown activity where our fifth graders get to go on this trip and experience real life application in which they're adding and subtracting decimals, managing money, all these fifth grade standards. So going into this, I was extremely nervous, like how am I as a fifth grade teacher going to be able to implement these things? What am I going to learn here? And I was amazed. I know that all the people that were giving me tours and stuff, because everything that came up, converting measurement, I was like, oh, that's me, I teach that. Comparing decimals, that's me. Volume, that's me. I know they were probably like, okay, lady, we get it. Like, but now I really feel like this has given me an opportunity to bring these workshops in my classroom where I can create a logistics team. I can create a planning team. And really build in those leaderships, as well as make a fun workshop and do a better job about inviting you guys as our community into our classrooms to tell our kids more about it. So again, we are so thankful for this experience, for everybody that put this together. And I told Mr. Carter that we wish that there were more teachers that did get to experience this, because we truly loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you'll take us for the summer, we'll go. So thank you guys so much. We love it.